From Centennial High School, it's time for Section 7 4A semifinals in girls basketball as the Cambridge-Isanti Blue Jackets visit the Centennial Cougars. As we take a look at the bracket in Section 7, Centennial the top seed, Andover and Blaine on the other side of the bracket, and the winner will meet at Anoka High School on March 10th, 2 days from now on Friday night. Will it be Centennial and Blaine in a cat clash? That'll be determined coming up here shortly, as this should be a good matchup. All the high seeds held. Bill Hupp alongside Blythe Whaley tonight. And Blythe, it should be a really exciting game between one team that's led by a high-powered superstar and Centennial, a team that comes in red hot.
Yeah, it's awesome. Centennial having 5 players who are in double figures for that quarterfinal. So coming into that, you get to see some of these athletes out there on the court, and it's been numerous players. You're gonna get to see Frost here, getting them started, putting in some threes, and sinking them from range. She continues to do so, finding different areas of the court too. It's not just that she has one spot, she's finding it from the top of the key to the side, but Cubes also has been hitting. And of course, you can't trade threes with twos, so definitely when your team is hitting from range, it's gonna help you. Look at Cubes there, just really lighting it up at the end of the season. Kudos to her, senior year, really ending with that fire like you'd want for that time of year.
Indeed, Sydney Cubes has been the leading scorer. As you see, nearly 15 points a game to lead the Cougars in the last 5 games, bumping that average for her season up near double figures. So it's always tough when they stop Camille Cummings. Now they've got Sydney Cubes to deal with.
Yeah, and last year she was just 7.6 points per game, so that's a huge bump in those last few games. But of course, looking at the other team,
Michaela Almer, 30 points plus 6 times this season. The North Dakota commit, averaging 24.5 points a game. So she is the straw that stirs the drink for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah, and that's something Centennial's really gonna have to take note of. How can they shut her down and work to make the Blue Jackets try to beat them from something else? And that's gonna possibly kind of make them off guard and not know how to beat them if their #1 player isn't, usually, if they're not used to not having her score as much. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, she'll be one of the best players that Centennial will have seen this season, and she and the Blue Jackets stand in the way of the Cougars returning to the section title game. We'll see what happens coming up next here from Centennial High School on North Metro TV.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
And banding together.
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort.
to get to know each other,
on a deeper level.
Father,
cosplayer,
Mentor.
Actor.
it's time we take a step forward
it's time we take a step forward.
Come together.
and discover
How accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Centennial High School, the site of tonight's Section 7 4A semifinal between Cambridge-Isanti and Centennial. Good evening, everyone. Bill Hupp alongside Blythe Whaley, and both teams being introduced right now as the starters for both teams. For Cambridge-Isanti, they will start Michaela Almer, the senior guard, averaging 24.5 points a game. Ayanna Knight will be at 1 guard. Evelyn Wiltrout and her sister Maria Wiltrout will be at the forward positions. And in the middle, Croy Vavra, a 6-foot center. Meanwhile, for Centennial, they'll start Sydney Cubes, Haley Mulberry, pair of senior guards, Camille Cummings, freshman Autumn McCall, and Marissa Frost at the other guard position. And Blythe, it should be a really exciting matchup between 2 teams that we expect to play very different styles.
Yeah, and you talked about it before we hopped on air here. Just Cambridge-Isanti, they have the fan base behind us. We can hear that they're going to have that support system. So, yes, it's not always going to feel like a Centennial home game, just as they have that fan support on the road. But what I would say is you can feel the energy. It's the playoffs. Both these teams, they know it's do or die. They want to make that next step closer to making it into the state tournament.
Cambridge-Isanti comes in with a record of 19-8, 11-3 in conference, the 4th seed, but it's Centennial that started the season 3-8, 6 straight losses over the Christmas period, but 14-2 since January 7th. Those 2 losses, Blythe to the top seed in Section 5, Maple Grove, and that's it. Otherwise, Centennial has been flawless since basically the new year.
I mean, you talk about New Year's resolutions all the time, and I think they must have had a pretty good one, and they've stuck to it so far, and will look to continue to do so. And Coach Sobolek, he's just talking about the last game in that quarterfinal. Their shooting wasn't necessarily a strong point for them. They did find some success from behind that three-point line, but definitely going to want to be doing a better start from out of the gates tonight for Centennial.
And meanwhile, the Blue Jackets have won their last 5 games. They're 8-3 since the start of February, and they finished second in their conference behind only Becker, who was a powerhouse and was undefeated. So 2 really good teams here tonight. Centennial 18-10 on the season, 15-4 in conference play. Cambridge-Isanti will be in the white uniforms with the blue lettering and blue trim, and Centennial in their familiar red uniforms with black and white trim, white lettering, and white numerals. A spot in the Section 7 championship game on Friday on the line, rather on Thursday, March 10th. On the line here as we get set to tip at center court. Autumn McCall and Maria Wiltrout to do the honors.
I don't know about you, but I'm sensing a lot more nervousness just in this gym. I feel like these ladies not as confident right out of the gates. We'll see who really steps up as this ball gets thrown up in the air.
Yeah, certainly a lot of tension, a lot of nerves, but maybe it's the fact that we're starting an hour later than normal.
That's true. It's not usual for them. Past our bedtime.
This is late night in Circle Pines as must be waiting for the media timeout. Ref ready to jump it up. I think it's because we have to start at 8:01 exactly. But yeah, lots of Blue Jacket fans making noise behind our broadcast position as we are underway and the Blue Jackets win the opening tap. Knight gets it to Michaela Almer. Call her name a lot tonight.
It's going to be the big difference is who's going to start that momentum.
Diana Knight gives it. Pull up in the lane and quickly drawing her first foul is Michaela Almer. Almer, we saw her practicing a lot of free throws before the game, and that's why she has the ball in her hands quite a bit.
That's something we'll have to pay attention to. What are the refs going to call early on? How can you adjust your game based on what these refs in particular are going to be looking to blow their whistle about?
Almer at the foul line, and she calmly sinks the first. Michaela Almer, as you saw in the pregame graphics, 6 times over 30 points this season as she calmly swishes 2 free throws. And the Blue Jackets out to a 2-0 lead.
And she's one of those players, you don't want to send her to the free throw line, give her those easy buckets. You want to make her work for them.
Centennial with the turnover as Almer one-hands it for Knight, top of the key. Roy Vavra thought about the 3. Instead, she gives back for Almer. One-hand skip pass. Vavra drives, leaves it short. Grabbed by Autumn McCall.
I think Cube's able to tip that one. Nice to see her get it out.
Cubes with the 3-pointer. She can't hit. It's tapped out of bounds. It'll stay down on this end with Centennial.
Yeah, Cube's helping get that stop on the defensive end. Now comes here on the offense, puts it up from 3. But even if she doesn't make it, they need to take shots to try to get that opening bucket for them.
How will they break down the Cambridge-Isanti zone? Obviously, and it's a 5-second call, and not a good start for Centennial. 2 turnovers in 2 trips.
I told you, I just sense a lot more nervousness from them here tonight. You know that, again, it's do or die, but these ladies gonna have to sort some things out to help push that positive momentum.
Great dribble drive by Michaela Almer, who kind of dropped her defender to the ground and drove to the basket. Knocked out of bounds, well defended by Centennial, but it'll stay with the Blue Jackets.
But again, the senior Cubes helping tip that one out.
Almer thought about the 3, instead puts it on the deck. Good pressure defense and the turnover forced.
Yeah, Frost learning how she can defend Almer and now able to strip her away.
Sophomore guard drives, misses the lefty layup. Diana Knight into the front court. Switch defenders. Scoop layup is good.
Well, she made that look silky smooth, getting Cambridge-Isanti. Again, that momentum, that energy, that surge early on, that's what you want if you're going to help your team push ahead.
4-0 Blue Jackets. In the early going, Cubes. Centennial, and they're facing the matchup zone, sort of a 2-3 matchup zone. Now they'll drop to a 1-3-1. So different defensive looks being shown here, right?
Yeah, they typically try to go to a 1-2-2. Coach Soblik was telling me, and he said sometimes that's what they've tried to maneuver and look at for practice, but this one gets a steal, and it's working for him.
Almer pulls up off the back iron. Tapped out to Knight, and they'll reset at the top of the key. 3 turnovers already for the Cougars early going. Knight pressured out on high by the sophomore guard. I believe Knight wanted Croy Vavra to cut, but instead Almer takes it, pulls up inside off the glass, no good. It's back tapped right to Vavra.
It's a bummer that Centennial didn't get the ball back after that. Mulberry did a great job switching and helping on defense.
Knight from the right wing, that rattles no, and Cummings does a nice job of boxing out Wiltrout and gets the rebound. Into the front court, dribble drive, lefty layup is no good.
Now those are the ones that the Cougars are going to want back. Of course, that could have helped them get just that little bit closer that they need. This game isn't out of reach by any means. It's only 4 points, but the Cougars going to have to get started here somehow.
3 minutes gone by and no points yet for Centennial. Good passing as Vavra stops and pops, no good. Chased down by Haley Mulberry, and then she tries to force a pass. It's knocked out of bounds. Well, I have a feeling, Blythe, that if the fans don't agree with the call tonight, we'll hear them. They vary into the game.
Definitely.
They call the foul, so teams first on Croy Vavra. Each team with 1 foul now. McCall with the shot off the back iron. The iron unkind thus far. Jump ball called. It'll remain with Centennial. But the Cougars off to a shaky start offensively, 3 minutes and 19 seconds into this game.
Yeah, that's kind of what Soblik told me early on in that quarterfinal, that the Cougars struggled in the scoring column just more than they normally have. And we're seeing that here tonight. We'll see if they can sort some things out.
Cubes from the left wing. They need her offense, and she delivers with a big 3. Sydney Cubes continues her hot shooting.
Yeah, dropping the hammer, nailing it in. Sydney Cubes, a senior, saving the day, getting them just 1 point down now.
Almer drives, misses everything. Good rebound on the weak side, though, by Maria Wiltrout. Averaging about 12 a game, and she sticks it back. A lot of juniors in this Blue Jackets lineup.
Yeah, sometimes mentally, though, you have to just open that basket up. The Cougars have done that now. We'll see if they can keep this streak going.
So now Centennial trying to be patient and run some offense. Good thing is the Cougars have a lot of seniors on whom they can rely. Left wing 3 is good. Marissa Frost.
Talked about that in the open. Frost and Cubes having tremendous quarterfinal to help them get here, and now we see them just starting this game just as they ended that last one.
Knight pressured out on high by Mulberry. Almer pulls up baseline, no good, so she's off to a bit of a cold start.
Love the defense by Frost, though, and I think that's been a huge part of it. She's tight on her and making it difficult.
Mulberry leans into Knight and draws the foul. No shots, though, so it'll be side out. Tied at 6 in the early going. You gotta like the aggressiveness of dribbling and trying to use their speed. And another 5-second call. And Blythe, you know that's gonna be a focal point of this reffing crew.
Yeah, you think about what that means this next time out, if there is one. Will Centennial talk about that, how they can ensure that doesn't happen. But also, I mean, these players, they know that. They play basketball most of them their whole life up to this point, and they know that they have to hone in on that to make sure that doesn't happen down the stretch.
Coach Sobola can't be happy as Mulberry can't keep it in play. But yeah, you rarely see the fact that 2 of the first 4 turnovers in the game are 5-second calls. You almost never see that called. But credit to the CI defense. And credit to the defense there. Saved right in, though, to Vavra. She leaves it short. Good job by who else? Sydney Cubes coming over to help out defensively. Not a lot of dribbling or wasted motion in this Centennial offense.
I like to see more cuts. I feel like they're a little stagnant there on offense. They're passing the ball, but nobody's moving.
Long three from Cubes is good. Sydney Cubes dials it up from distance once again. Knight's spinning shot is off the mark. Up ahead for Cummings. Bounce pass. Cubes can't get the layup to go. Good pressure defense. Rebounded. Wild shot underneath. Cubes has it eventually stolen. Good recovery. I think they could use a timeout right now, and ultimately a foul is called on the Blue Jackets and Almer out top as she was defending Mulberry, but what a wild sequence of events.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. It was a crazy last few seconds, and I think it was a credit to both of these teams. You saw how hard they were battling out there. No one could really get their hands to handle that ball. Everyone felt like they probably had butterfingers just for how tight the defense was poking it away.
Haley Jurdy checks in, and another turnover, this time off a base entry. So not even 6 minutes into this first half and already 5 turnovers for the Cougars.
I just can't say enough about how much I love this matchup between Frost and Almer. I think Frost has really thrown Almer off of her game, and that's exactly what the Cougars have wanted. Have CI score from somebody different and make it difficult for Almer.
Yeah, Almer has not had the shooting touch as it's knocked out of play. It'll stay here with the Blue Jackets, but an interesting back and forth game we've had so far. Underneath, good inbounds pass, and Maria Wiltrout has 4. Kind of picking up the third three-quarters court. Underneath, counted, and a foul. Nice job by Autumn McCall, and the freshman forward, 6'1", will go to the free throw line trying to complete the three-point play.
Yeah, she didn't have quite the game she would have wanted in the quarterfinal, and if they can get her started, I mean, they already had 5 players getting double figures last game. They didn't necessarily need her to step up, and if she can tonight, I think it will really help out the Cougars.
Foul on Maria Wiltrout, and that is really key for McCall to have a big game because there's so much size on the CI front line with the Blue Jackets and the fact that they start 3 players that are 6 feet or taller. What did we predict, Blythe? The fans beseeching for the reach-in calls as, again, turnover forced by Centennial, well defended by Marissa Frost.
Yeah, the aggressive defense by the Cougars is going to help them down the stretch. If they can keep this up, I think it's going to frazzle Cambridge-Isanti.
You definitely want the ball in the hands of Almer. Crossover dribble, pull up in the lane, no good. And this helps Centennial when off the miss because it doesn't allow CI to set up in their pressure defense. Camille Cummings hits from 3. So say what you will about Centennial, but they are shooting it well from distance. 4 of their 5 have come from 3-point range as they had a 3-point play and then 4 3-pointers already. 1 from Frost, 1 from Cummings, and 2 from Cubes, and they're shooting the lights out in the early going after kind of a cold start. First 3 minutes and 19 seconds play.
Yeah, and that's what's so interesting about Centennial sometimes. We've seen them have somewhat of a slower start, but it's always, they stay pretty calm, collected going through that time where maybe you think that it could really frazzle them, but they always seem to come back and make it look effortless as they get back into the lead by a good margin.
Yeah, no question about it, and it's just a matter of time before those shots started dropping. Struggling with turnovers in the first half, but the Cougars have settled in nicely and starting to shoot it well from 3, and the 3-pointer can just make such a difference as you're trying to come back or pull away from your opponent.
Yeah, you see it time and time again. If a team is just scoring twos and their opponent all of a sudden starts drilling in the threes, I mean, there's almost no stopping them as they just rack up the points and go ahead. Cougars, multiple players that are putting in the three ball now. Of course, Cummings being one of them. Frost, Cubes is coming all over, and it's gonna make it tough and possibly gonna make this CI team go out of that zone and play a man-to-man. They can use more athleticism, possibly seeing that ball go inside.
Yeah, it's one way to get him out of a zone is to shoot him out of it. Almer turns and faces, hounded by Frost. Almer off the curl. Oh, no good, and her cold start continues. McCall has it poked away momentarily. Cummings cross court for Cubes. Underneath, beautiful passing interior, and it's laid in by Grace Pullman.
The speed of play on that last one, every single person knew that next step ahead and what they needed to do to get that bucket. Impressive.
Hannah Knight, the senior guard, attacking and drawing the personal foul. A lot of senior leadership, especially in the backcourt for Cambridge-Isanti with Almer and Knight. So Knight at the free throw line, and what do they say to do, Blythe? If your shot's not falling, attack, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you're gonna see from both of these teams down the stretch. I mean, just in general, in this game, trying to make it to that next step, that championship.
1 for 2, and the battle for the rebound is won by Centennial. 17-9 our score, inside 10 minutes to go first half. Back to the zone as Cummings, guarded by Almer. And actually, they're in a man-to-man now. Drop down low and ripped away. Good play by Vavra just to steal it right away from Autumn McCall.
Now this is going to be a big stop. Cougars just wanting to make sure that Cambridge-Isanti doesn't gain any momentum going the other way.
Almer now guarded by Cummings. She drops it down low for Vavra, who lays it in. Nifty footwork from Croy Vavra.
And of course the Cougars, they've done a good job stopping Almer and not having her be one of those players, but you don't really want everyone to get started on their team, and that could be one of them, Vavra down low.
Cummings grabs the rebound, and then she's tied up. And the possession arrow turns it back over to Cambridge-Isanti after Cummings had made a nice rebound on the weak side. So certainly both teams have a feel for what the other wants to do now.
And that's typically for teams just trying to assess whether that's what the refs are doing in those early minutes, what the other team is doing to them. How can you get a feel for the game and have a better game plan going into the second half?
Almer drills a three, her first field goal of the game. She's got 5, and that time they started her off the ball rather than have her play point guard. Haley Jurdy brought it up. Centennial answers on the other end with Marissa Frost, her second of the game.
Frost having to play such tight defense on the other end. You'd think she could be tired, maybe not able to make the threes, and she's making both sides of the court look effortless.
They're trying to find different ways for Almer to get the basketball as Jurdy thought about it from the corner. Gets inside off the side of the backboard, and
that was one of my favorite things to do when I played basketball, was to really just get that number one score on the other team just mentally out of the game. And it seems like for the most part, Almer probably just is not feeling like herself tonight, trying to get into the rhythm that she's used to.
And sometimes it's just a matter of needing to see, you know, shots fall. Nice pass underneath for Littlefield, who gets on the board. Macy Littlefield quickly back the other way. Cambridge-Isanti turns it over.
Littlefield's one of those players that has helped the Cougars in the quarterfinal, got double digits, of course, now stripped away.
Almer into the front court, draws the contact, blocking foul called on Centennial and KJ Tharp. So Almer will go to the foul line, as I think that looked like the right call. Just forcing the action and knowing when to do that.
I think something too is, as Almer probably gets frustrated though, if her shots haven't been falling, trying to take the charge there. She's really going to be going up strong because she wants to just take it to the hole. So something to be aware of if the Cougars can get set up to try to take that charge.
Yeah, no question about it. It was a nice effort by Tharp. She just wasn't in a great position to do that. So Almer with 6 points in the first half. Make that 7, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. 22-16 our score. And Almer steals it back for the Blue Jackets. Gives it off to Knight. Back to Almer. Wild shot. Gets her own rebound, and she'll wisely decide to pull it back out. 9 first half turnovers for Centennial.
Coleman almost able to reel it in, can't quite.
Almer hounded, and the hand check called on Megan Stacy. Certainly the Blue Jacket fans behind us wanting a hold, as Stacy doing her best to stay with Almer. And they're just going to rotate defenders, I feel like, all night. 14 fouls apiece now on CI and Centennial.
Yeah, they're definitely, I knew they were going to have to give Frost a break at some point just for how tight she had to defend and how much effort she was putting in on this end of the court. But Cougar's going to have to find a way to have that second person step up and be able to guard her too.
And they're athletic enough where they can rotate players. Dribble drive by Will Trout, and off the mark, Megan Stacy collects the rebound for Centennial. It's the three-point shooting of the Cougars that has kept them in this game, and just as I say that, Camille Cummings gets a layup to make it an 8-point lead. And we've got a timeout, 22nd timeout taken by Cambridge-Isanti, with them trailing by 8.
Yeah, you think about that last play though, Camille Cummings always, I would say, has pretty much that basketball IQ. She knows when that opening is coming in the lane. No one was really with her, just taking it to the hole and getting it done.
So 4 fouls apiece. Free throws not really a factor, although it's been Cambridge-Isanti that has drawn the shooting fouls for the most part.
Where I would say one of the free throws, or where that's coming from, is from Almer. I mean, 4 of her points are from the charity stripe, I believe, and or at least 3. And I feel like for her, that's a big thing. If that's, you know, where she's able to still creep those points up, get herself in position to still have a game like her others, where her points per game are in the 20s, and that's something the Cougars are going to make sure they don't foul her and at least give her those easy points.
4 of her 7 points have come from the charity stripe so far. Stacy, as they play a box and one, and this is the 7th time this year that Cambridge-Isanti has faced a box and one, or at least the way they're set up. No, and it is hard to tell right now. Underneath, rebound by Will Trout, Evelyn Will Trout, and the foul is on the floor.
And it makes sense that this makes sense that they would do that for coming out of a timeout, just kind of switching things up, because Cambridge-Isanti during that timeout talking about how they can break down the defense, I'm sure how they can score on this possession, but when the Cougars can come out and be playing them differently than they just were, makes it pretty difficult.
Almer, the corner 3 is no good. Yeah, it was hard to tell whether that was just CI's formation or whether Centennial was actually employing a box and one. So something to watch as Stacy goes to work. Hands for Cummings. 3-pointer from the left corner is no good. Rebound underneath, no good. Down low, tied up. It'll stay on this end as the jump ball keeps it with Centennial. 5:54 to go before half. No, really a line shift for Centennial as their starters return. Good bench minutes, though.
Definitely. I mean, for the Cougars to have some of their stronger players coming in, those players who have been able to put in the points, we'll see if that gives them that surge even further ahead.
Don't want another 5-second call. It was nearly the case. Instead, Frost will look for Cubes on the block. Frost trying to duck her way out of that. Cubes wants a left wing 3, and that's no good. Almer into the front court. Sets a screen for Knight, pulls up, off the mark. And a nice job by Autumn McCall, who's had a really good game so far.
Yeah, and one of the big things that Jamie Sobolik was telling me before the game is they're gonna really have to try to make sure they're taking care of the boards, and that's just with that height difference, it's gonna play a huge factor, whether that's defensively and offensively.
Almer puts her shoulder down and gets the runner. Michaela Almer continuing to lead Cambridge-Isanti, and they're back within 6.
That's where you don't want to let her get started. That was one of those first ones in a while that she really just was able to take on her own.
Traveling the call, 10th turnover of the first half unofficially for Centennial. Sometimes that pressure, you get sped up, and I think Centennial would prefer to be in a more settled half-court set.
I don't know about that. I feel like typically they're doing quite well in the transition game. I don't know about necessarily versus Cambridge-Isanti. Like, there's probably some pros and cons. They do well in the offensive set too, but I think maybe perhaps for how much defensive effort they've had to put in, it's going to make it tough to have those transition games for the energy to use.
Mulberry, what a sequence. Stripped it from Knight on one end, fed Marissa Frost on the cut on the other. Almer jump stop, gets it back, off the glass, high off the glass, and good. Michaela Almer, if it once you don't succeed, try again.
Yeah, she's the player you don't want to allow that second chance because you know she's probably going to put it in if she gets another.
Mulberry splits defenders, bounce pass down low. Underneath, McCall lays it in.
Like I said earlier, she's one of those players that you need to get started. She didn't do as well in that quarterfinal for them, but now already 5 points and still looking great, even on those boards, getting the rebounds.
Cubes knocks it out of bounds into her own bench. It's been a really back and forth game in this starter, and it's really the difference so far in terms of field goals is the Cougars and how well they're shooting from 3.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens after halftime. Both of these teams getting to talk with their coach of what they've seen and what they want to change.
Knight flings it wildly up and out of play, but it'll remain on this end with the Cougars. Or, beg your pardon, with the Blue Jackets. Almer guarded closely by Frost. Mulberry comes down and forces the turnover. And Cubes goes out of bounds off of Wiltrout. Smart play from the senior.
Yeah,
So
you got to use it when you can for legs there.
Right. Take what you can get. Nothing dirty. Underneath for McCall. Dribble drive, and nice job reaching in to take it away by Jurdy. Almer pulls up from the mid-range. No good. She has struggled from that distance. And this time, Maria Wiltrout called for the foul. Good box out by number 42, Grace Pullman.
Yeah, Pullman doing exactly textbook what she needed to do, getting in position for that rebound. And of course, when you're in that type of position, they're going to get the call, most certainly.
Emily Cox returns for Wiltrout, who goes to the bench with 2. Now they're back in the zone as Mulberry snags it right near the timeline, and a timeout, good timeout, I think, taken by Jamie Sobolik.
Well, of course, yeah, you saw her. She did try to bounce pass it, and she gives it up to Cambridge-Isanti and then gets to look over and go, oh, good, we're going to timeout.
Someone bailed me out. And that was a pretty immediate timeout.
Yes.
Is Centennial, you know, you have all your timeouts, and you're a little discombobulated offensively, so may as well get something set. But yeah, that one stretch, you know, after the initial 4 or 5 minutes of play, that one stretch where they made about 5 3-pointers in a row, that's the difference in the game ultimately.
Yeah, and something too, I think why he probably took this timeout is just also he doesn't want to lose this lead before halftime. This has really put them in position to kind of get to play a little freer, know that they have some wiggle room, and if they can keep this heading into halftime, they know they're going to be in a good spot to try to get that final victory at the end of this game.
Cougars trying to advance to the section title game yet another year. Last year, of course, losing to Rosemount in the state semifinals. It was a wonderful season. Frost for 3 off the mark. Grabbed this time by Vavra. Almer pushes into the front court.
Now, when you don't score on the other end, of course, just trying to put even extra effort in on the defensive set.
Almer really quarterbacking that offense, screens and then gets it back off of her player movement. She holds in the corner, drives baseline, goes down, no call. Trying to tie her up along the baseline, and they do so, but it remains with the Blue Jackets.
Mulberry doing a good job always finding that double team when she can, and I mean, I wonder how much of that was Coach Sobel telling her, hey, Mulberry, when you can, let's double team Almer, but it might just be a personal decision of just knowing, hey, I can get in there and try to help out.
Almer holds it out top, something that Coach Liedal for Cambridge-Isanti talked about is how much better the player and ball movement has been in the second half of the season. Baseline jump shot from Vavra off the mark, and Jurdy could not keep it in play.
But again, Mulberry just flying out of nowhere to try to at least get somebody on that shot as they got past Cubes on the side there. And I think that seems just credit to her, just trying to help out whenever she can, finding that open player and just really still trying to be that second set of defense against them.
Hallie Mulberry playing well as the Blue Jackets go back to a matchup zone, this time with Almer at the top. Cummings drives, baseline, passes out high. Cubes from the corner, in and out. Almer grabs the rebound and now pushes in transition. Almer into the lane. A little bit out of control on the shot. McCall grabs the rebound.
Kept that rebound huge.
McCall, Euro stepping to the basket. Cummings there for the rebound. Certainly 3 seconds ultimately the call. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a travel or a 3 seconds, but ultimately Centennial still maintains its largest lead of the game at 8.
Yeah, it's difficult. Of course, you try to push the ball up the floor. You saw McCall just about getting it. And I think Cougar fans excited that Cummings was on the other side to get that second chance, but it's tough when you can't get that up there to at least give the ball a chance, but still have that lead. Just got to tightly defend here at the last minute.
Nice spin move by Wiltrout to lay it in. Evelyn Wiltrout, her first basket of the game. Pretty athletic looking move down low. She pulls Cambridge-Isanti back within 6. Inside a minute to go, and I wonder if Centennial will hold for one shot.
Those are the players you don't want to get confidence before that second half.
McCall on the loose side, grabs the rebound and lays it in after the long miss by Grace Pullman. So it's an 8-point lead again with 35 seconds and counting left. And now perhaps the Blue Jackets will look to hold for one. You know who's going to shoot it, and that'll be Hummer.
And that is a tough foul. Now we're going to send him to the free throw line. Of course, the Cougars going to get the ball back, but I believe that was the 7th.
Sixth team
They were
foul.
very fast hitting that, because I was going to say, I looked up right away, I thought.
Indeed.
Kudos to the scoreboard people. They were on top of that one.
Yeah, they're on top of it. Hallie Mulberry, the foul out top. So 26 seconds left. No fouls left to give. Dumped down low in the charge circle, so no call. Blocked from behind by Cubes. Tapped out of bounds. And Knight called for the personal foul as she knocked McCall into the sidelines. 15 seconds left, and we'll walk to the other end as, or no, it's going to be Centennial ball. As you see here, McCall bumped from behind by Croy Vavra. Vavra's second. Cummings jogs it across the line with 10 seconds to go. Mulberry holds left wing. In the corner for Cummings. 3 seconds, 2, bounce pass, it's stolen, and time will expire before any shot can go up. So we head to the halftime break with the top-seeded Cougars leading Cambridge-Isanti by a score of 30-22 here on North Metro TV.
Type 2 diabetes can have a big impact on your life, but how can it be prevented? Well, the first step is knowing if you have prediabetes, a serious medical condition that puts you at high risk for type 2 diabetes. 1 in 3 American adults has prediabetes, but more than 80% don't know they have it. The good news is, prediabetes can be reversed, and for many people, healthy changes in their daily routine can make a big difference. Take the 1-minute risk test today at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Back here in Circle Pines, halftime, Centennial, the top seed in Section 7, Class 4A, leading the 4th seed, Cambridge-Isanti, by a score of 30-22. Bill Hupp alongside Blythe Whaley. And Blythe, very interesting first half. I mean, Michaela Almer did damage with 11 points, but a lot of balanced scoring and a lot of good three-point shooting from Centennial.
Yeah, and I think Centennial did a really good job. I mean, yes, she has 11 points. She typically gets that average of over 20 points per game for Almer, but Frost has done a great job defending her. I think it's going to be down the stretch. It's a team effort to really hold her to under what she's typically used to, but Frost out to the gates, ready, started, and did well. But one of the things, too, I think we need to look at is that rebounding battle. But we'll look at the highlights.
As we look at first half highlights here, and Ayanna Knight splitting the defenders nicely to start things. But the three-point shooting led by Sydney Cube. She had a couple three-pointers. Helped Centennial stay in this one, and Cubes dials it up off the dribble that time. Back and forth the two teams went, but Centennial for the most part had an 8-point lead for much of the half. Beautiful passage of play underneath. Grace Pullman, the beneficiary there. And then Michaela Almer getting into the act. Didn't shoot it well from distance, but she did manage to get 11 points. And Centennial, if there's one thing they want to clean up in the second half, it's their turnovers. They had 12 of them in the first half.
Yeah, for the Centennial Cougars, they're really just going to have to, rely on those strengths that they have. Play together as a team. They know that, basketball, a game of runs, and they had that run early or in the middle of that first half, and how can they have another one of those right when they need it here in this second half?
And you figure Cambridge-Isanti, especially with a player of Almer's quality, will not go away lightly. So second half getting ready to start. Almer led Cambridge-Isanti and everyone in scoring with 11. Knight had 3, 2 apiece for Evelyn Wiltrout and Croy Vavra, and 4 for Mariah Wiltrout. Meanwhile, 6 for Cubes, 2 for Littlefield, 5 for Cummings, 7 for McCall, 8 for Frost to lead the Centennial Cougars, and 2 for Grace Pullman. Cougars started with the basketball to open the second half. Little dribble weave at the top. Frost thought about the 3. Instead, Cubes puts on the breaks baseline. Cummings just inside the three-point line, off the mark. Almer into the front court. Frost nearly steals it from her. Frost and Almer doing battle, and Frost, as you said, did a nice job on her in the first half. Little jump hook in the lane and a nice shot by Mariah Wiltrout. She has 6, back to a 6-point lead, but so far the Blue Jackets have never been able to get much closer than that.
Cummings doing a great job getting out of that double team.
Cubes misses the little jumper, and Almer jogs it across the timeline. They'll spread the Centennial defense out. Centennial sticking with that man-to-man. Very aggressive out high, and Mulberry whistled for the personal. And I believe that is going to be her second.
Now we saw one of those ticky-tack fouls early on in the first half. Now we see another one in the second half. Mulberry, of course, unintentional. Didn't seem like she really meant to bump into her, but.
Yeah, just being aggressive out high, trying to hand check. They'll double Almer at the logo. She gets rid of it. Nice pass underneath to Knight, loses a dribble. Picked up, though, by Wiltrout. Poked away by Mulberry. And so you like the aggressive defensive play of Mulberry. And then a blocking foul on the other end on CI. Mulberry, though, she's committed those fouls out front, but part of what's made her successful tonight, Blythe, is the fact that she's been so aggressive defensively.
yeah, helping out, really making those double teams happen, helping strip away the ball. And I think you need to have a player like that that's ready to step in to be that second line of defense.
Meanwhile, Ayana Knight picks up her third foul, kind of a cheap one. So she's in foul trouble, one of the lead guards for CI. Cummings ducks underneath, can't get the layup to go. So Centennial continues to not shoot it super well as Almer drives against Frost and draws the personal foul. She'll go back to the free throw line for the third time tonight.
Yeah, what just seemed to be interesting is Cougars.
Autumn McCall is the one who was whistled for the foul. Team second, her first.
I think that's what happens sometimes. The defense gets a little bit tired. They've had to defend her here for a few possessions, and now has a chance to split the D and go up and get the foul.
You figure Almer will go out firing in what could be her final game as a high school player before she goes on to Grand Forks in the University of North Dakota next year. Averaged 22.5 last year, 24.5 this year. She misses her first free throw of the night, and Centennial tracks down the rebound. Frost pulls up from the wing and hits.
Yeah, that was all because of the McCall. Comes over, sets a screen, opens up Frost to take advantage of that spacing.
Nice shot by Marissa Frost. Her third three of the game. Dump down low for Wiltrout, who gathers and lays it in. She is 6'2". She's tough to handle down low. Cubes in the corner. Frost tries to split the zone. Cubes from three, no good. Grabbed by Autumn McCall. Hard to rebound in the zone. McCall gets it back. Cummings wants a three from the right wing, no good. Rebound again by Centennial, and that time Mulberry's forced out of bounds. Evelyn Wiltrout disagreed with that call, but Mulberry draws the personal foul.
And the play right even before this last one, just again, Autumn McCall getting the rebound, helping the Cougars get some second chance opportunities.
2 offensive rebounds on this trip results in the play underneath. Cummings can't get it to go. She's had some bunnies that she has missed tonight, but she will go to the free throw line here.
Yeah, I'm sure from a player of her caliber, it's very frustrating when some of those ones right inside just aren't dropping for you. For her, it's going to help mentally if she can come to the free throw line and sink these.
Ref is at the scores table, I think maybe trying to sort out who that foul was on. And it is a 2-shot foul for Cummings, who has just 5 points. A relatively quiet night for her as she sinks the first.
Just they give it to, not sure if they've.
Just the second free throw of the game attempted by Centennial. Find that hard to believe. Cummings buries both of them though, and it's a 35-27 lead for Centennial. Inside of 15 minutes to go, second half. And now they've got Cummings on Wiltrout. Knight pounded out high by Mulberry. Puts it on the deck. Mulberry nearly steals it.
But Frost did a great job denying Almer the ball there.
Knight, shot off the mark. Nice job by Wiltrout not to foul, and Cubes takes it away, and then Almer commits the foul right along the sideline, and I think probably the right call.
Yeah, and I think you can see it. Somewhat frustration again. Almer getting denied the basketball. I can see how often that happened. When I was able to deny one of the leading scorers the basketball, they just get so frustrated. They're so used to having it. They're so used to being able to play at will and move around the court, and when they can't, stuff like that happens.
Now she's got 3, so Knight and Almer with 3 personals apiece. Right wing 3, good! Drilled by Hallie Mulberry, her first of the night, and it's an 11-point lead, the largest of the game for Centennial.
Yeah, Mulberry has to be quite pumped, enter the action there in the points column, but that's going to be dangerous and lethal possibly as the rest of the Cougars, now everyone on the board.
Centennial threatening to pull away in this one. Cummings, pump fake, Drop for McCall. No good, and Aumer snags the rebound. Aumer, and hopefully she's okay as her foot hit the ball, but she's fouled in the open floor. And she's just going to attract all kinds of attention every time she's got the ball in transition. Third team foul of the half for Centennial. 4 team fouls on the Blue Jackets. Almost called them the Bluebirds.
Close.
Yeah, that's right. Underneath, Wiltrout can't get it to go. She's missed a couple close ones. Frost pushes forward. Whips it underneath for Cubes, who lays it in. Sydney Cubes, her first non-3 of the night.
I love the Rockets with a bullet of passes that the Cougars have been doing in these last few games. They really have picked up that speed just to make sure they get those passes in down low and make things happen.
Timeout called by Cambridge-Isanti. They had pulled at one point to within 5 at I believe 32-27, but it's an 8-0 run for Centennial, and now they've got their largest lead of the game at 13. What have you seen from the Cougars in the second half here, Blythe?
Yeah, the Cougars, again, they're, like I said, on that last point it just made, is they're really looking to push the basketball. They're finding those openings, and I think for them inside, they're going to just continue to have to play confident. There might be a run there. They, just like they just saw from Cambridge-Isanti, they got within 5, but they just have to be ready to settle in, know that they're going to be able to go on a run of their own and not get too frazzled and allow themselves to lose the lead.
And probably a good timeout by Jody Liedall as he's trying to prevent this game from getting away from his Blue Jackets. It's a 10-5 advantage here in the second half in favor of Centennial, and it's really been their defense that has come to play here in the second half. They've been everywhere.
Yeah, and that's what I think is just so interesting. It comes from a whole team defense. You can have a really good defender on your team, but it doesn't matter if the whole rest of the team isn't playing defense with you. And so I think that's what it comes down to. The Cougars, they really have all their players on the court ready to hunker down and play good defense to get this ball back.
Marissa Frost leading the Cougars with 11 points, the only one in double digits, as they go and start on defense out of the timeout. Pump fake for Jurdy, tries to pass it underneath. Turnovers have not been nearly as much of a story in this half. Cubes thought she got all ball, but ultimately it's a foul, and that'll send Evelyn Wiltrout to the free throw line.
Yeah, even both teams 4 fouls apiece, and for them just not wanting to get too many more. You don't want the other team to go to the free throw line and get those automatic points to try to get back into it.
Evelyn Wiltrout buries the first. She looks like she could play in college. She's got some nice skill.
Yeah, it's always interesting in high school sometimes to see some players just not decide to move on to the next level, and everyone's different, to each their own, what they want to do with that next chapter of their life, but definitely some players that probably could if they wanted to.
Her sister grabs the missed free throw. And Frost, you're right, is really denying Aumer that basketball. Aumer this time gets it and buries the 3. So literally, just as I say that, she hits the triple. She's got 15, and it's back to a 9-point lead.
Yeah, sometimes you can see players like Aumer who just really, they have that skill set that sometimes it can help them getting this frustrated that they're gonna all of a sudden play one of the best games. So we'll see if she's able to turn the lights on after that.
Frost responds with a 3 of her own. Marissa Frost, her 4th triple of the game, and then she steals it on the other end. Frost has just come up huge, the sophomore. Cubes wants a 3, that's off the mark. Grabbed by Jurdy, she goes to the ground and is fouled by Frost, but Marissa Frost averaging about 10 coming in. She's got 14 tonight, 4 of her 5 field goals from 3.
Not quite sure if there's any talk there on the court, but it seems like Aumer really just somewhat gave a stare down after she drilled that last 3. I feel like her and Frost obviously going at it throughout this game, and I think that's also made Frost possibly step up her game. Just, again, frustration sometimes can bring out the best in players.
Aumer tries to force that bounce pass off the roll, and who comes up with it but Frost? 2 straight steals for Frost, and that defensive Centennial coming up big. They've got a 12-point lead. Frost, oh, if they're giving it to her, she should shoot, but she decides to give it to Cubes instead. Great bounce pass down low for the layup.
What vision. Cubes finding that pass, and she's done that time and time again tonight. Really just drilling it in.
Beautiful, just pass, 14-point lead, largest of the game for Centennial. Almer has it swiped at by Frost, who's just all over her tonight. Down low, Wiltrout. Have to imagine this is as well as Almer's been defended this year. Good help defense to knock it free by Pullman. CI fans want their team to move. Almer dials up a long 3 off the glass, no good. And who's there but Frost to grab it again. Cubes into the front court, a 45-31 lead. Centennial has really dialed up the defensive intensity in the second half. And they continue to make timely threes. Like this one from Cubes, no good. I jinxed it. I was hoping to do the Steph Curry hold and run away from the shot as he finished. Almer pushes ahead in transition to Jurdy, who drives baseline. Can't get it to go. Cummings battling with Wiltrout, and it's a foul on Wiltrout. And if we thought the fans were frustrated before, that was certainly kind of a 50-50 call. And for Wiltrout, she picks up 3, so that's 3 Blue Jackets starters now with 3 fouls apiece.
Yeah, that last play, I felt like Almer almost doing similar to what Cubes has been doing throughout this game. Just got that ball sorted up there and into Jurdy's hand, but they didn't convert on it, which the Cougars have been doing pretty good about converting on those plays.
Cummings pulls up from the mid-range, off the mark. She has not shot it well tonight, but she's found other ways to impact the game. Jurdy, like that.
Exactly.
Knocked it
right
back,
on cue.
right on cue. Jurdy's pass knocked out of bounds by Cummings, and that's really the mark of a great player, when you can impact the game even if the shot's not falling.
Yeah, and just shows all the credit to the whole team aspect too of Frost really stepping up big time. They have those players that step up for them. Doesn't always have to be that same player leading the way.
Wiltrout wants a 3, that's off the mark, and Cummings splits a couple Blue Jackets defenders. Pullman a little bit limping as she comes down the court. Bumps away from Jurdy, and Cummings this time drops it for 2. Meanwhile, we've got it'll be a 20-second timeout as Pullman is shaken up a little bit, so they'll make sure she gets some treatment. As Marissa Frost, we look at her impact with the Cougars ahead by a game-high 16 and 9:27 to go second half. You see the Jody Lidahl talking to his team as Marissa Frost has been the story this afternoon. 14 points and much of her damage from beyond the arc.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see it basically shooting from Wisconsin, it seems like, on some of them, but not quite this one. She's right there towing the line, but sinks it.
That was a deep 3, and she has just had the shooting stroke tonight, and it's all catch and shoot stuff. She's not doing anything off the dribble, so very impressive.
I just remember from playing, and it's just sometimes those battles between, again, those players, her and Almer, are really going at it throughout this game, and I think it's just heightened that competition and heightened that competitive drive in both of them. They've come out to play some good basketball.
Evelyn Wiltrout misses, and Autumn McCall strong in the rebound. Frost into the front court, puts on the brakes in the lane. Almer on the bench right now, so where will CI go for scoring?
Someone, I almost feel like they got to put Frost on the bench, give her a break while Almer is out, because I think Frost has done the best job defending her.
Frost goes down, and certainly, things getting a little more intense as Megan Stacy takes out Marissa Frost.
Like I said, exactly what they needed to do. Definitely give her a break while Almer is out, because that's exactly the person they need to have guarding her when she comes back in.
Almer remains out. It's the Blue Jackets basketball after the possession arrow goes their way on the jump ball.
I always love I say that, but I was the player that never wanted to come out, so I wouldn't want that to be the case.
Diana Knight Has it picked by Cummings, who reached in as she drove by. And now Centennial can probably work some clock if they want. Littlefield instead drives the basketball. And missed the shot, and so Jurdy pushes ahead. Tries to get it to Vavra, too tall, and now it's CI that's struggling with turnovers in the second half. They've already matched their first half total with 4.
And that happens. I mean, now they're getting further down, and of course trying to just make sure that they give it their all, and sometimes that means you're giving up silly turnovers because you're really trying to force it.
Now Almer's back in. She's guarding Cummings. Littlefield missed the 3, but an offensive rebound again for Centennial. McCall into a couple defenders, and she draws the foul. And you can just tell how tight-knit this team is, how much chemistry they have, the way they went and picked their teammate up. But that was just a nice play. Draws the foul on Evelyn Wiltrout, 6th team foul on Cambridge-Isanti.
Yeah, as you said, it felt almost the whole team was over there picking her up.
8:08 to go in the game, a 16-point lead for Centennial, the largest, as they have really taken control here in the second half. Very high arcing free throw for Autumn McCall. Up ahead for Knight, who gets the roll. Good look ahead for Almer.
They just did that to look pretty. It was sat there spinning before it dropped.
McCall bumped, and she turns it over as that pass was a little bit behind her. Unofficially, the first turnover of the second half on Centennial, and it's kind of now or never as Megan Stacy hounding Almer as she gets the ball in. And you know Stacy's in there for one reason, and that's to provide energy on the defensive end. Knight settles the feet and hits. Diana Knight left wide open, and she makes them pay with a 3. It's a 5-0 Blue Jackets run.
And Knight doing what she needed to do is to help Almer out. How can she get herself into scoring position and make them drop? And she does just that.
Autumn McCall on the blocked bounce pass on the cover, and Autumn McCall lays it in. A little give and go for the freshman. She's got 8 tonight, 10 tonight, I should say.
I'm so impressed with McCall coming out in the semifinal, ready to make this impact like she has today.
She's taken a step forward as CI answers on the other end with Wiltrout. But yeah, she's really playing fearlessly tonight. She's in double figures, along with Frost. It's a 12-point lead. Stacy's 3 is off the mark. Strong rebound by Evelyn Wiltrout.
And you think about how much more tired Almer's going to be with Stacy trying to take her full court versus just in the half court defending.
Kicked for Knight near side. Almer, I would think, would want to touch the ball a little bit more than this, but they do get a basket as Croy Vavra drives. But Almer's just not having the impact that you would have thought. She's been held to 4 points here in this second half.
So when are we going to put Frost back in, and just even more so, sure it's not her that's been.
Knight steals it and then is raked down by Megan Stacy, much to the ire of the Blue Jackets fans. Stacy commits the foul, and just as you said it, Cubes and Frost return along with Mulberry. It's a 10-point lead. It was as large as 17, but a 7-0 run for Cambridge-Isanti has made things a little more interesting.
And I mentioned that, like, of course they know that this is going to happen. They know that Cambridge-Isanti isn't going to go down without a fight.
It's a game of runs for sure. They're spreading them out here on this offensive possession. Hands for Almer. Kicked back for Vavra. Centennial making them work offensively. 50-40 the score. 5:41 to go. Cubes up ahead for McCall. Missed the layup. Back tapped all the way to Vavra. Good job by Frost to reach up and pick that one off.
Frost may be the player of the game if the Cougars get to move on after this one. Both sides of the court, she's made a tremendous impact and continues to do so here with just over 5 left.
Centennial trying to be patient on offense with about 5 minutes to go in the game. And a 10-point lead. It's been about a couple minutes since they've scored, so where are they going to go for offense? They could use a 3. CI fans trying to increase the defensive intensity. McCall on the drive. Drop step inside, count it, and a foul.
What a post move. McCall again just really honing into that position and taking it with the confidence that she's gained throughout the season. She didn't have that quarterfinal, like I said, that she wanted, and she's made that difference here today. She's stepped it up big time.
Autumn McCall ducks inside, draws the foul on Evelyn Wiltrout, and now 7th team foul on Cambridge-Isanti, so Centennial will be shooting free throws the rest of the way as McCall hits that one. Autumn McCall, she and Marissa Frost, the underclassmen, stepping up huge. Jurdy with a 3-pointer from the wing, no good. Wiltrout grabs the rebound and lays it in. And now a full timeout taken by Cambridge-Isanti, but how about Marissa Frost with 14 and Autumn McCall with 13, including 6 in the second half.
Very impressive. I think the Cougars have a lot to be proud of, just thinking about those young girls stepping up and helping out their team. And something too is interesting to me, I'm just thinking about Cubes really not having those touches and those shots that she did early on in this game, and now it's just kind of stayed more stagnant there with 8. And it'll be, I'm curious to see what happens. 4:30 left in this game. Will she be someone that gets the ball, or will it continue to almost be that Frost and McCall show that we've seen these last few minutes?
Well, you kind of go with what's working, right? I mean, you don't need to force your players, even if they're your main contributors. I mean, Cubes and Cummings having relatively quiet nights by their standards, but just goes to show you the balance of the scoring, right? 8 for Cubes, 9 for Cummings, and like you said, 13 for McCall and 14 for Frost. So now you have to figure, well, we'll see if CI decides to pick up full court. Certainly Centennial is anticipating that. 4.5 minutes to go, an 11-point lead for the Cougars as they look to book a spot back in a Section 7 title game for the 2nd consecutive year. Cubes misses the runner. Knight pushes ahead. Dribble drive for Almer, and she hits. That's just knowing how to use her body and having control as she has 17.
Yeah, now back to 9-point game. They got
back inside double digits, down to single digits, the lead. So Cougars could use a basket. It's been a bit of a dry spell these last 5 minutes. Beautiful move inside, and unfortunately, Carls couldn't finish it. KJ Tharp, rather, misses it. So, Almer pulls it out. 3-pointer for Knight on the way is no good. Ripped down by Wiltrout. Knight for Jurdy, off the mark. Right to Almer. Back out top, Knight again. She drives. Her pass is intercepted. Cummings goes behind the back in the open floor. Cummings to the rack. She draws the foul, and she'll go to the line to shoot 2. Big sequence of events, an offensive rebound there for the Blue Jackets, but they could not trim the lead. You see here Cummings splitting defenders, and big foul on Almer, her 4th personal on the reach.
Yeah, and these free throws are somewhat big here for the Cougars. Make sure that they continue to push back into the lead by even more than they're sitting at now, as you've seen what Almer can do. She just went straight to the hole and helped get that within single digits just moments ago.
Centennial looking to pick up win number 19 on the season as Cummings goes 1 for 2 from the charity stripe. Back to a double-digit lead. 3 minutes and 5 seconds left to go in the game. Almer dishes underneath for Wiltrout, blocked by Cummings. What a defensive play by Cummings. Gets it back from Cubes. Cummings lays it in. Camille Cummings coming up big when it counts. She's got the last 5 points. Meanwhile, on the other end, Will Trout lays it in. It's a 56-46 lead inside of 3 minutes to play.
Yeah, and you just saw Camille Cummings and Cubes work so well together.
They force the tie up just outside the logo, and it'll remain with Centennial on this end. Cummings and Cubes sharing a laugh. Centennial still 3 of its timeouts. Blue Jackets with just 1. McCall hands for Frost out top. Frost, power move to the left, layup, good!
Nice soft touch off the glass, gets it to go, and now still pushing back further in the lead.
Knight pushes ahead quickly for the Blue Jackets, and she'll go to the line to shoot 2. But every time they've needed a basket, Cummings or Frost or McCall, somebody has stepped up for Centennial.
Yeah, and they definitely have, like you said, somewhat in the nick of time. You don't want them to get too close where they get comfortable and that they are feeling that momentum to push back to make this game a little more interesting than the Cougars would want it. And so they've had those buckets at the right time, but now for sure not going to want to send them to the free throw line anymore here in these last couple minutes.
Ayana Knight looking to become the 3rd Blue Jacket in double figures tonight, and she misses, so she has 9. It's an 11-point lead for Centennial. McCall into the front court. Not sure who she was looking for there. Cubes nearly steals it. Instead, Almer tracks it down. 2 minutes to go in the game. An 11-point Cougars lead. A spot in the Section 7 title game on the line. Nice drop pass underneath, and somehow Will Trout misses the bunny. What a pass off the pick and roll. That's pick and roll vision from Almer. Fortunately for the Blue Jackets, it remains their ball. We were just informed that Andover, the 3rd seed, down to the 2 seed Blaine, so no cat clash in the section final, no matter how this turns out. Andover goes on the road and ends the Bengals season tonight in the semifinals. So Centennial, if they can hang on in the next 2 minutes, they'll face the 3rd seed Huskies Thursday at Anoka. We'll have that game for you. Blythe will be on the call. It should be a very good game. Centennial still with some work to do here. Down low for Will Trout. Trout misses again. Bodies on the floor. Both Centennial, and we're going to walk down to the other end, I believe.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the Cougars, they need to make sure they go to the free throw line, take a deep breath, and sink them like they've done all year. And I think for them, the biggest thing down the stretch is really going to be these free throws and how they can stay relaxed through kind of this surge, and as Cambridge-Isanti tries to give that last few-minute push.
Marissa Frost averaging just a shade under 10 points a game coming in. 17 points tonight for the Cougars as she sinks the first one. Free throws, Centennial 70% at the foul stripe tonight. As Frost goes 2 for 2 on this trip. 18 points for the sophomore and some terrific defense on Almer. Almer, a deep 3 from the logo off the mark. Cummings grabs it. It's a 13-point Cougars lead. And now they'll just work to milk some clock. What's impressed you, Blythe, about the Cougars' performance tonight?
I think for starters, just what they've been able to do here in the last few minutes, just not allowing really Cambridge-Isanti to have that last run that they have been trying to get started. They've been able to stick it to them on defense and really keep them from getting too close. And I think that in a semifinal game, you just know everything's on the line. You know that team is going to come at you with everything they got. And I think the Cougars have done well at really just, you know, putting the embers out and not allowing them to really make anything start to happen here late on.
Evelyn Will Trout picked up that personal, sends Frost back to the line where she gets the roll. Excellent free throw shooting in the second half here for Centennial. as Frost looks to pick up point number 20, new season high if she does, and she does. So pretty impressive from Marissa Frost with some big free throws down the stretch here. 8 in the first half and 12 now here in the second half. 10 of 13 Centennial is. Now, if you're CI, you really need a quick hitter, trailing by 15 with a minute to go.
Yeah, for them, you just want to have that final push. How can you maybe potentially put in a couple shots here and within those small margin of seconds to keep the clock where you need it?
And I will say credit to Amr, because she could have forced more shots tonight, but she's made the right play, right off the pick and roll, and like right there, you know, guarded tightly by Frost and just hits her teammate underneath, and she's fed the Wiltrouts when they've been in the post. And you know, it might be a different situation if more of those closer looks had gone in, but Maria Wiltrout buries 2 free throws. The Wiltrout twins have had good games. Maria now in double figures with 12.
Well, you think about it too. I mean, Amr typically getting in the 20s, 25, 26, I think, points per game, and she's sitting at 17 right now. Sure, it doesn't seem like a huge amount of difference, but it is in a game like tonight.
Fascinating to see Frost be the point guard to break the press as Cummings bounces it. The Centennial fans applauding. 43 seconds and counting remaining. Now Cambridge fans know they need to foul to continue to extend this game. But it looks like the top seed will advance to the Section 7 final on Thursday. Cubes holds with 26 to go.
This is what has been great about these Cougar teams. They seem to get it done when they need to.
Indeed they do, and you look at the free throw performance from both teams, been pretty impressive as Centennial takes a timeout with 16 seconds left. Their fans know what the score is. Cambridge-Isanti will sub in some reserves for the last 16 seconds. Be kind of awesome if they could get Michaela Amr a standing ovation as she leaves, so I wonder if they'll use their last timeout to, or take a foul and then sub her out. We'll see. But Michaela Amr, 17 points, 11 in the first half and just 6 in the second half. And Marissa Frost, I'm not sure what's more impressive, the 20 points tonight, the 3-point shooting, or the lockdown defense on Michaela Amr.
You got to say the combination is what I would say. Just the fact to be able to do that, because oftentimes it takes so much effort to defend someone like that, then it affects your offense, and it didn't for her tonight.
Yep, very impressive. Ref just letting them play. As Frost will back it out with 7 seconds left. Cubes will hold. And that will do it here. Centennial moves on to another Section 7 final on Thursday night against number 3 Andover, courtesy of a 62-49 win. The Cougars move on to the Section 7 final on Thursday night against the 3rd seed Andover Huskies, courtesy of a 62-49 win. For my broadcast partner Blythe Whaley and our entire crew at North Metro TV, good night from Centennial. Cougars move on to the Section 7 final, 62-49 over Cambridge-Isanti. This has been girls basketball on North Metro TV.